Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? I hope everyone is having a pretty okay day, especially since today is Convergence Day. It is the final day of NaNoWriMo and the first day of World Ember. All happening all at the same time. So if you're doing both, it'll be okay. It'll be all right. World Ember is just 10K. It's fine. It's fine. You'll be okay. Hopefully, everyone is doing wonderfully well with their uh, NaNoWriMo projects. I know a lot of people have one because I have fortunately been there for some of that and have gotten notifications from others. Hopefully, y'all are doing really, really good that wise. I have already started my World Ember project, and we may actually talk about that just a wee little bit as a way of example in today's episode of that's Friday. Fan Fiction Friday is coming back Friday, by the way, over on Twitch. I so let it be written, so let it be done. Today we're doing Fantasy First Aid. All right, but I am not alone today. I am joined on the screen by the wonderful Kat Leo.
Hi.
Who I just almost felt like I should keep talking until it looked like you were completely distracted and didn't know what was going on, just to get the full surprised face. So I did not do NaNoWriMo this year. I wanted to, and then Brain decided to brain. And it's fine. It's fine. But I am doing World Ember because I need words. Words must happen, words must flow. So I'm really looking forward to that. How have you been, Kat?
Okay. I started the game and I'm very. There's a skull and it's walking, but like it's bouncing to walk and it's talking to me. I'm so confused.
This is Dungeon Keeper? Or
Graveyard Keeper?
Graveyard Keeper. That looks like a fun game. That looks like all the fun game. All right, let's see who all is here in the chat real quick. I see Megan. Hello, how are you doing? I hope everything's going well. You should be really close to winning Nano, right? Right? Hello, Nikki. If I'm not wrong, you actually won Nano this year. If memory is serving me, which I'm not gonna lay any bets on that today. Thank you, Megan. That does really help the channel out a lot. Hello, CB. How are you doing today? If you've not been watching the wonderful videos CB's been posting over on her channel singing, just do it. They're so good. They're so good. Hello, Spence. How are you doing? I hope all is well.
A talking donkey just dropped off a corpse.
As you do. Let's see. CB says today has been brutal to say the least. That's yeah. I can understand that would not be fun. On a better note, you got your Les Mis tickets. Well, woot for that. The stage version of that is quite entertaining. The movie version, I think I said all I needed to. It exists. And it's by the same director who gave you Cats. So if you haven't seen it, just yeah. Woo. Yes, woo for Les Mis. You're doing me wordy. More power to you. More power to you. I'm doing please one wordy. I think that's my daily goal is please one word. Just one word. I kind of feel like Kat's going to need to just crop me out of this video and just have like a monologue of her talking underneath it of all her reaction shots as this game gets started for a wonderful thing on her channel. I take it it's not what you expected.
I just harvested flesh from the corpse.
As you do.
And I've unlocked new technology and got create burger create sandwich and create baked meat.
Hey, cannibalism. Okay, so Nikki asks, what is World Ember? World Ember is the month of December over on World Anvil. We are participating in a series of challenges. The main one is to get 10,000 words of world building written in 30 days. Now, there are stretch goals if you are an overachiever, and they have additional badges for those as well if you hit 25K or 50K. Though one of these years, I need to like get myself in a good place, like just forget that Nano exists and just spend all of November getting my brain ready for December so that I can get the 50K badge because it's Loquacious World Builder, and I kind of want a Loquacious World Builder badge. I kind of want that. There are also contests and raffles and prizes to be won. There are numerous categories over there that have each been sponsored and have prizes associated with them for best article in class. Now, the one trick is you have to get the 10K to be entered to win any of those prizes. So you still have to get your 10K words in, but there are prizes. It's a bunch of fun, and it's a good excuse to get a bunch of world building done, which, if I had my druthers, would be the only thing that I did. Like, I like writing stories. I love writing stories, but world building is life. World building is life in every possible way.
I'm pretty sure this skull is an alcoholic.
As all skulls should be. Bob definitely is. I know Bob is. I don't think Lugosi is, but it's hard to get drunk off of blood unless you're just going after people that just left the bar.
And I just met the bishop, apparently.
Hello, Maggie. How are you doing today? Yes, I am really looking forward to this because I have adopted all of my bad practices again and need to remind myself that I write for fun sometimes too. And hello again, Kat. It seems like I just saw you. Yes, Kat.
Right?
Kat, which is strange because Kat never streams. Like never. Hello, Carrie. How are you doing today? You're internally screaming right now. That's a good thing. Me hopes. 3 weeks till Les Mis. Yay! Yeah. The movie version could have used a lot of things. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Like, I get what he wanted to do, but they needed metronomes in their ears. That's all I'm gonna say. They needed something to help them keep time. They just it's the same problem cats had. They needed someone to help them keep time. And hello, Eva. How are you doing today? So, for anybody who is curious, yes, there will be sprints during the stream because I have World Ember writing to do, and I am working on a new space opera story in an old space opera setting as a way of trying to get back into my connection with everything. Because it pressed on my brain, and I'm like, hey, you're good enough. Get on the bus. I'm you stuck your head up. You're the one that's getting written right now. So there will be sprints. I'm going to promise at least one an hour, but you never know. There could end up being more. Also, if anybody has any world building or book problems that you would like some help with, don't hesitate to bring it up. Yes, we are going to be talking about Cosmogenesis, or how to write the origin story for your world today, but that does not have to be the only thing that we talk about. If you need some help, do let me know. Ooh, outlining books. Alrighty, so when it comes to actually creating a world, especially if you're doing a fantasy world, you need to be careful that you don't get overly fixated on its origin. This is really important. Because while There are many tropes that Tolkien gave to the fantasy genre. I feel like the one that he gave above all, like literally the one ring to rule them all, is this elaborate backstory that is kind of required reading to get the most out of the book itself. And you don't have to do that. If you don't care, if it does not matter to your setting how the universe came into being, don't write it. Don't worry about it. No one is going to come after you. Well, it's fantasy fans. Somebody will. But an insignificant number of people will come after you for having not actually gone back to the very beginning of all things. If you don't need to know what happened, don't worry about writing it. It will not affect you. But you still will have to come up with the origin for your world, even if it's not the origin of the cosmos you're writing in. So, what do I mean by that? When you're working on a story, you need to know how the events got set into motion. And I'm not just talking about the inciting incident in your book. The fatal flaw of a lot of fantasy is the world stood in a state of static arrest, doing nothing. It didn't even really turn. Like there really weren't days, weeks, or years prior to the one event happening that kicks everything on out into existence. No, things would have led to that. Something would have gotten you to where you are. This is again why I feel like anyone who has not taken the time to read the Silmarillion really doesn't get the most out of Lord of the Rings, because every time I hear a question from Lord of the Rings, readers or people who have watched the movies, I feel like I need to just be that person. Well, actually, in the Silmarillion, because all of those questions are answered. You know, why didn't they just ride the on the eagles to Mordor and drop the ring into the mountain? Well, that's actually explained in the well, it's explained kind of in the book when Gandalf explains why he can't hold the ring. And if you read the Silmarillion, you learn that basically the eagles are kind of similar critters to Gandalf. So you don't want to give something that much with that much power access to the ring, because it will corrupt them and terrible things would happen, and you'd have giant demon birds trying to destroy the world instead of just Sauron, and that would not be good. So what actually caused the problems? See, in the Lord of the Rings universe, the actual cause of all of the problems was the sweeping clear that happened after Morgoth, the previous Dark Lord, was killed. Sauron kind of felt a little bit alone and called out in the universe. He even, and there's a lot of debate on this, may have tried to be a good guy for a while. He like moves off to Numenor and is like helpful with people, even though they like lock him in a dungeon because you were friends with the bad guy, so you must be bad guy too. And through all of this, he concocts a plan of, if you're just going to lock me in a dungeon for all time and eternity because immortal, maybe I should just rule you. Then I won't be locked in a dungeon. And that's when he tricks the Numenorians into making the rings. And you have the rings sent to the elves, to the dwarves, and to the men, so that he can, with the one ring to rule them all, control everything. And hijinks ensues, which culminates in the opening scene to the Peter Jackson films, and then the rest of Lord of the Rings series. Understanding that Sauron had a motivation changes how I read Lord of the Rings. It also changed the way Tolkien wrote it. If once you know Sauron's motivation, when you look at what he is doing and the way that the ring wraiths and his like close in henchmen are behaving, you can see this much more defensive act on their part. And it changes how you perceive the story. You have to know how your world started. All worlds begin as an idea. This idea will either be the theme that will pervade your entire story, which For some strange reason, a person who fought in World War One and who was living and writing in the era preceding and running through World War Two was stuck on the idea of authoritarian control and civilization collapsing around him. I don't know why he would have been
No
thinking.
idea.
It's hard to fathom, especially since he was very vocal about it had nothing to do with the war. He said this a lot. But that is the core to all that he is writing about. Even when you read the Silmarillion and all of the stories that are in there, there is this constant question of who has the right to have authority, who has the right to rule, who are the people that you should follow, should we have leaders, should we have followers. Now, you may not agree with Tolkien's answers because he was a monarchist through and through. And so his answer is, of course, those who have the divine rights of kings flowing through their blood have the right to rule, of course, because monarchy. I tend to disagree with him on this, but this is how the answer that he came up with. And you see this inflected throughout all of the stories that he wrote. So what is your story actually about? This will go a long way into helping you realize what went. Yes, long live the queen. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking of my beautiful Galadriel. Anyway, still stuck in Lord of the Rings mode. But you need to ask yourself, what is the story about, and let that be part of the origin of the world. Firefly, one of the things that makes it so powerful as a series is the initial world building. See, the problems in this story are all based on reputation and memory. Everything that takes place in Firefly deals with either reputation or memory. Can River remember where she came from? Does River know what happened to her? What do you remember about the Civil War? What do you remember about this? What do people think when they first meet you? Do they recognize you? Do they know your name? These are the questions at the heart of Firefly. So it's not surprising that all we ever hear of the origin of the world is the Earth that was. What happened to it? We're never explicitly told, and I am not going into the extended universe stuff of the comics and everything else. Most people have only seen the show. I'm sticking with the show here. In the show, we don't know what happened to Earth. We don't know where they colonized. We don't know how far out they got. And so that lack of memory pervades everything. What started the war? What were the Browncoats fighting for? What were they fighting against? Did Mal fight for different reasons than the army he fought for? All of these questions are built into our lack of understanding of what happened by not being given that info dump of, oh, by the way, here's what happened in the previous war. Here's what happened to the Earth and why everybody went out into space. And here's why all humans are living in this diaspora. We're never told any of that because it is forgotten. We don't remember as a species, just like most people don't remember what the war was actually fought over. And what actually happened in Serenity Valley. This is why the ship is called Serenity, because he does not want to forget the Battle of Serenity Valley. He doesn't want to forget what happened there, what was done there. And you see those themes that are pervasive throughout the show and the story, very much nestled into that initial origin story. Star Trek also does this quite well. We don't go all the way back to the very dawn of the universe, except for in that one Q episode, or two Q episodes, but we're not going to talk about those right now. Because they don't actually fit into the actual origin story of the setting. We're told repeatedly about the Third World War, about the struggles that people went through, and that humanity had to learn, if it was to survive, it had to accept the diversity within the species and the diversity of life in the universe. Because this is the core idea of Star Trek. And so everything that we hear about in the past, the eugenics wars, people thought they could make a better human, and those humans decided, well, maybe I should just control everything. Because trying to achieve that form of perfection is dangerous. You see this written into the Borg in their very essence of who and how they are. You can see this in how the Klingons developed from the original series to TNG to Deep Space Nine, in that there is no monolithically good or bad anything. Civilizations are complex. There's a diversity of opinion, of type of people in all of these places. And you can see that baked in all the way back to the origin stories of the world wars that led to the unification of Earth, the events that eventually lead to the formation of the Federation, and everything that comes after it. So these are the main questions that you need to ask yourself. And then ask, how can I best either turn those into metaphors or literally have that be the thing that happens? As we just discussed in Star Trek, for example, it's quite literal. The thing that gives rise to the world that we see in the future, this very egalitarian world, is, well, they tried going to the hyper extreme the other way and almost went extinct as a species. It was bad. We should not do that again. We can talk about the cosmogonic cycle. We can talk about other things of that nature if you want to, but this is where a lot of world building goes awry. It's very tempting to just write that creation story and have it not mean anything. And if that's the point of your story, do it. As long as it appears to be intentional, that could be a powerful commentary or a statement. But you have to remember, your readers only have access to the text that's in front of them. And anything that you cannot sell as intentional will read as a mistake. So, make sure that you know, even if you never give the info dump to the reader, where your world actually came from. And I'm going to get off of my little sermon box here and glance into the chat a little bit and see what y'all have been talking about, because I saw some of these and probably will not be able to find them now. Hello, Hayden. How are you doing? I see that you have joined us. And I can't remember if I said hi to Carrie or not. So, hi, Carrie. I'll say it again, just to make sure that I have covered my bases there. Let's see. Oh yeah, book problems. Problems with the battle scenes. Battle scenes. I say this every time and people look at me like I'm joking. I'm not joking. Battle scenes and love scenes should be written the exact same way. Find 3 moments that are emotionally significant for the character. Write those in extreme detail. Everything else is connective tissue, getting you from one of those actions to the next one to the next one. That's what's important. If it doesn't matter to the character, it won't matter to the reader. You don't have to worry about all of the flourishes, all of the fights, all of the jumps, all of the kicks, all of the pew-pew gunplay. You don't have to worry about being detailed and describing any of that. You have to have those moments. And there can be more than 3. There can be less than 3. Some of my favorite Japanese stories, the fight is literally 1 strike. And everything that leads up to that moment. That can work too. But whatever is most emotionally important to your characters, whether they feel like they're going to win, like they're going to lose, like they know what they're doing, like they're lost, if they feel pain, if they feel pleasure, and whatever that emotionally significant moment is, find, I would say a good rule of thumb is 3 to 5, and then you can either add or subtract from there. Write those out in detail, in isolation, and then write the connective tissue that gets you from one to the next. It makes for fun fight scenes. And not unironically makes for fun love scenes as well. Because again, it's the same thing. Nobody cares about the intricate geometries that your characters are getting into. They just care about how the characters feel in the moment. Don't belabor things. That's where painful reading comes in. Yes, pigeons are definitely demon birds. Let's see. I tend to think that he initially had good intentions as well. I really do, especially reading the stories about Numenor. I do not know what they're going to be allowed to do in the upcoming Lord of the Rings prequel series that's going to be on Prime, because I know they're not allowed to do certain things from the Silmarillion. But I would love to see someone actually get actors in and show all of those events as they happened, because you gotta imagine something was going on in Sauron's head after watching Morgoth get destroyed. Because if in the original fight, like if you think the Lord of the Rings was epic, Morgoth fought with an army of dragons that were ridden by Balrogs. And when I say dragons, one of these dragons, when killed, fell to the earth and destroyed the peaks of three mountains as his body crashed into the ground. Like, these were dragons. Like, to blanket the sky, you will never see the stars again, dragons. But yeah, art reflects reality, whether we want it to or not. Very definitely true. Your fantasy is about magic. It can be. I would say that She Who Shall Not Be Names series is about magic, and particularly about the magic of friendship, which is why the last book half works and the movies don't work at all. The last two movies don't work at all. She lost the thread of that until you get to the very end, and that's sad. Is almost tempting you to stop everything and jump into a fantasy from scratch. You don't have to do this just for fantasy. Contemporary stories need to have an origin story as well. There is a, whether you're writing fantasy, science fiction, contemporary, a historical, you still have world building to do. You still have all of this work to do. It's just, you may call it research rather than world building, but it's still world building, because you have to determine what parts of London in the Victorian era you're going to include in your book, because you can't have all of it. Let's see. Your fantasy started as a take on origin stories for witches, warlocks, vampires, and werewolves. That's pretty cool. That's fun. The creation of the story Relic of Time and Shadow War may lead to an additional origins quartet. Ooh, that's interesting. Hello, Diana. How are you doing today? I hope you are doing well. I hope your nano went well if you were doing nano. For anybody who is playing the drinking game at home, the chat just jumped. I don't know why it does that on YouTube a lot more than it does on Twitch, but it's fun. Let's see. Eva says, "I know I've written the battle scene, but cannot recall how you wrote it at all. Afraid to look." Fight scenes. A good fight scene, and all of the people who talk about the great lie of realism in fiction are going to get mad at me about this. A good fight scene should be written as if you're choreographing a dance, because you want to keep the readers interested. Realism is for movies. Like, you can really make a pretty John Wick realistic fight where you have people literally just punching the crap out of each other and throwing things that don't hit and bounce off walls and stuff, if that's the thing that you want to do. But that's harder to get across. That realism is harder to get across in prose than it is in film.
My computer's frozen.
Oh no. Oh yeah, the dragons during the first age really made Smaug look like a lizard. Like he was tiny. All of the ones that exist now, in by that point in the setting, are described as being tiny in
Great.
comparison.
It might be back. It didn't want to do anything.
For those who've written or started to write, have been epic or portal. I'm in a great debate here. This is a good genre topic because I went to upload the first Blinded Angels book to KDP and was going through their categories and saw that they've actually changed them a little bit since I last published a book with them. I'm still mad about the yaoi section and its subcategories.
No, actually, I don't want to know.
I'm just going to say this. Amazon, if you're going to keep to your own TOS, while yes, boy love is a category of yaoi, maybe making it easier for people to find that, not a smart idea. Not having that as a distinct category, you know. Sorry, I got really upset when I saw that. Yes, was that yesterday? Maybe yesterday. I don't know. Time is a spectrum. Um, but they now have contemporary fantasy listed as one of the fantasy subgenres.
What is contemporary fantasy exactly?
That's what I've been trying to find out. Like, because I almost feel like, if anything, this would qualify as contemporary fantasy more than urban fantasy, because while it happens in a fantastical world, it happens in a small town. In a small in a fan in it's in our world. I mean, it's
Contemporary fantasy,
our
also
world.
known as modern fantasy or indigenous fantasy, is a subgenre of fantasy set in the present day, or more accurately, the time period of the maker. It's urban fantasy.
And they still have urban fantasy listed as well.
Oh, it is perhaps most popular for its subgenre, urban fantasy. So, urban fantasy is actually a subgenre of contemporary fantasy.
Yay! So yeah, I'm going to be classifying this as contemporary then, because it's not in a city. Do they actually go into any of the cities in the... Well, I mean, in this book they definitely don't, but I don't think in this particular series, I don't think they ever go into any of the cities at all. I think it all happens out in the county. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the genre as well. Yes, even fanfic needs a backstory. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, especially in AUs, because I had to. It's implied that Caroline in my chaos of a cluster is like, she says that her grandfather is Eric, but like it's also implied he's been in her life, and it's also implied by that he had a child at some point, and that she knows about his species of vampires. So that would change how she interacts with vampires.
Very much so. I do agree. There is something different in doing fantasy world building. There really is. I feel like even when I'm not trying to write science fiction, which is why I make a very big distinction in when I talk between writing sci-fi and science fiction. Science fiction, I feel like I have to be much more scientifically rigorous in my work and like have at least some balonium theories to explain how everything happens. I don't feel that necessity as much when I'm writing more of a techno fantasy or just a space opera kind of thing. I don't feel like the average reader of space opera is there for the physics of the starships and is more there for the drama of the pew pew fights. Um, you know, like honestly, you're there to see people go pew, 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 pew at each other and not really the other stuff. Like the other stuff is helpful, and I try to bear it in mind some. Whereas fantasy, yeah, you can really. If you haven't checked out my Shadow Phoenix saga over on Kindle Vella, which December 8th, I believe, 8th or 9th, the first collected work of it will be out on KDP. So for anybody who doesn't have access to Vela, the first collection will be available, I believe, December. I want to say December 8th, but
Is it gonna be on the Kindle Unlimited at all?
yes.
Okay, then I can probably read it that way.
Yeah, I was talking to Spence about this, and because I'm really conflicted about exclusivity, so I'm probably going to give a because you have to be enrolled for 90 days, I believe, in KDP Select. So for each book as it comes out for the first 90 days or so, whatever the enrollment period is, they will definitely be available in Kindle Unlimited. Depending on how book reads are going, I will make business decisions after that and table my values accordingly, because my business needs to be able to support itself and not suffer because because I know for a fact I get most of my reads through Kindle Unlimited, not through book sales. I know this. It is known. I can look back at my stats. It is known. But yeah, it will be available through Kindle Unlimited, and I'm really excited for more people to be able to see it because I really like that book. Raid is a lot of fun, and I wish more people were in Vela so they could have read it. But if you do have access to Vela and you're going to wait until it's out for on Kindle Unlimited to read it, the first 3 chapters are free on Kindle Vela, so you can go ahead and read the first 3 chapters without having to spend a dime. And it really helps me out because they get to go, hey, people are reading this. Maybe we should put it higher in the rankings. Because that's how the Amazon works. Yeah. Let's see. Contemporary and urban are almost the same. Yeah, that was the feeling that I was getting. I was just really trying to make sure that there weren't any trope conventions of one to the other, because a lot of urban fantasy lately has had a lot of paranormal overtones to it. So, like, your vampires, ghosts, and witches, I feel, have been much more prevalent in things labeled urban fantasy. And since my book has vampires, ghosts, and witches in it, if that is one of the distinguishing markers, between the two, I wanted to make sure I was in the right category. And finding answers to questions like that has not exactly been as easy as I wanted it to be. So you can't decide whether your fantasy world will be in this one or a made up one. That to me depends on history. When I was working on my Dragons of Night setting, which is my contemporary and or urban fantasy setting, I thought about how I wanted to have or not have. The basic premise of that setting is all of the mythology that you've read in books is true, with a big asterisk at the end. Like, those are memories of actual events that were things that were done by the Fae, the dragons, and the other magical critters what live in the world, and that were treated as gods by the humans. So it was a lot of fun for me to actually sit back and figure out how all of that would affect. Would that have changed anything? Is this going to be alt history at all? Because I really hit 2 big snags, and that was what did my magical community do during the genocide in North America, which is where the story is set, and what happened during the Civil War and the years leading up to it. Those were 2 big questions that I felt that I had to have not necessarily great answers to, but I had to have answers that I was comfortable assigning either blame or virtue to various characters because of their actions during those time periods. If you want a clean slate, always do a secondary world. Just do a secondary world. Um, but if you want any of the real world stuff to play into it, that to me is the easiest dividing line there as to whether it's a real, if it takes place in our world or a secondary one. I liked it better when it was very clearly, people used to say primary or secondary world, because we live in Earth 1 and everything else is on Earth 2, or whatever we call the other world. That used to be common parlance. It's not as much anymore. Let's see. Ask more questions about our fantasy worlds, getting me all amped to work on it. What else should you know? If there is a deity, I'm just going to say this. If there is a deity, why did the deity do what they did? What was their internal reason? Whether or not the characters, or if there is a religion that follows that deity, will know the deity's actual purpose, the deity would have had an actual purpose in creating the world. Unless you're writing something akin to Lovecraft, where Azathoth just blindly hit things until a big bang happened. Like, he literally just stumbled around and then, boom, oh crap, a universe. Because, well,
Fair.
and again, very fitting for his universe that a blind, deaf, dumb god accidentally created the universe that we live in. Like, it, that fits into his whole cosmocism, that however powerful you think you are, there's a bigger fish out there that will come and eat you. Like, that was so his way of thinking, and it fits very well into his origin of that world. But if you are going to blame things on a deity or a group of deities, why? Why did they do it? What was their intent? Because they would have had an intent. And if you actually want to see how this works out in actual world mythology, I believe you can actually find it on one of their websites, but if I'm not wrong, it's in the Mormon book of, I think it's the book of Abraham, actually has in there a passage of the Council of the Gods, where God, Jesus, the devil, and a bunch of other celestial beings sit down for a boardroom meeting over whether or not to create Earth. And this is an actual document that's part of the scriptures of an actual world religion right now. And it is a fascinating thing to read, because the gods are all like sitting at a table going, I think we should I'm going to make a world. But why though? Because then this could happen and that could happen and that would be wonderful. Yeah, but maybe not. And it's a very interesting way to see how this cosmological question got answered in, what would that be, late 1700s America, so late 18th century America, when all of that came about and people heard the story and went, yeah, God had a board meeting, and the devil was just like, I'm going to be the savior of all mankind. And Jesus was like, but you're kind of selfish though. And God was like, yeah, you're right, you're not going to be the savior, my dude is. And the devil was like, then to hell with you all, I'm just going to take over now. Hurrah! And war. And it's a very different story than the one that you're probably familiar with. And it's, again, very interesting on this question of, but why a universe? Because like the Sumerians, and it's in the Emelish, isn't it? In Sumerian folklore, the universe came about because, well, Marduk killed this giant dragon, and he needed to do something with the body. Like, there was just so much of it, like, everywhere. And so, like, the bones became the mountains, and the meat became the ground, and the blood got mixed into the dust that settled. And he was like, I don't know, I'm kind of bored. And he sculpted some little figurines out of it, and they came alive. And he was like, it's fine. And just let them wander off. And that's us. Like, yeah. What am I going to do with this mess? According to the Sumerians, good enough answer for why to create a universe. There's some fun ones out there. Is it in one of the Vedas, or is it in the Upanishads? I can't remember. There's a wonderful Hindu story that said that in the beginning, God realized I am. And then the second thing God said was, I am alone. It is not good that I am alone. And God divided in half so that he would not be alone. And then that basically keeps doubling and doubling out until we get everything in the world. And I love that idea that in the beginning, the almighty, all powerful entity of all the universe went, I am alone. Not alone anymore. And in a way, we're just here to keep God company. Not the worst answer to the question I've ever heard.
The talking donkey has dropped off another body.
See, your story world is unnamed, but could be Earth eons ago. See, one of my favorite tabletop games was called Earth Dawn. And it took a long time for us to realize, because the story takes place in, we didn't realize the story was taking place in Europe until people started literally taking the maps and putting them together, and we realized, oh crap, the story is taking place in Europe. If we had fully paid attention that this was the origin story for Cyberpunk, I'm sorry, it wasn't Cyberpunk, it was RuneScape. No, not RuneScape. My brain is gone. For another game that does take place in our world, then it would have been more obvious. But we weren't paying attention to that. And it was fun because the Mediterranean Sea was actually a lake of fire at that point in the far, far back point of time. And that also threw us all off because we didn't see a giant hunking like inland sea there. There was just the coastline of the burning sea, which is where they tricked death into getting tied up, which is why it was always on fire, because the passions in that setting tricked death and tied her up to the bottom of the sea, and her rage made the ground boil and burn as she tried to escape. Fun setting. Fun setting. Let's see. For the large, unwieldy fantasy you abandoned, you connected your world to Earth via a multiverse. Those can be a lot of fun. Portal fiction is a lot of fun. I'm glad. I really liked that book. I've actually gotten some chapters done in the next one that will happen after it, and if you like that one, I think you'll like the one that follows. The alternate universe or Earths may make things easier. Yep. They really do. Everyone's myths started as someone else's reality. Yeah. Let's see. The author, who must not be named, has or had a table with all of her characters. Yep, character arcs on it. Yeah. I did a video on the Levitt paradigm for outlining a story, and she actually used something fairly similar to it when she outlined those books. I actually have a copy of portions of her outline, and it's really interesting to see, but it's essentially a Levitt's paradigm. Your fantasy is down to 88K now. You've been cutting. See, the thing is, the stories that I'm working on right now are going to be serialized, because whether or not there is a Vela, I really like being able to get chapters out quicker. So we'll see what happens when it comes to collected editions.
Oh, berries.
Hello, Mr. P. How are you doing today? Okay, holidays, seasons, and celebrations. Seasons can be a lot of fun if you want to get really, really detailed and are not afraid of using a spreadsheet, because he actually gives links to a Google Doc that you can copy and just fill in a couple numbers and make it work. Artifexian on YouTube has really great resources on building calendars and moon that are either solar, lunar, or lunisolar. So they'll either take into effect the sun, the moon, or both. And they're a lot of fun. The fantasy world that I'm writing in, I used his tables to create the calendar for that world, which is not the same as the one that we live in here, and figure out the seasons. And also, because of that, I can accurately tell you the moon phase for any date on that calendar. So I always know what the moon is. I always know what season we're in. I have all of that information just from taking the time to make that calendar. So, and it doesn't take a long time. It really doesn't, especially because one, if you watch his video, I think the video is about 20 minutes long, and most of that is a tutorial on how to use the spreadsheet to make your own calendar. So that's a good thing to do. Holidays are very important because they tell you a lot about the cultural values of the peoples. Seasons tell you so much, because are you talking about liturgical seasons? Like, as somebody who spent a lot of time in the Catholic Church, is it Lent? Is it ordinary? Are we in Advent? Are we in Christmas time? Are we, there are a lot of seasons throughout the year that have a lot of cultural, religious significance there. Also, remembering that like a lot of Mediterranean countries only had 3 seasons, because there was the wet season, the growing season, and the dry season. Because of climate, they didn't really have a winter. So that tells you a lot about the culture and whatnot. Because if memory serves, and our resident guest who is obsessed with her would definitely know this, if memory serves, Persephone actually went into the underworld in summer rather than winter, because that was the hot, dry season where things did not grow as well in the original Greek stories, if my memory serves.
Even those don't agree with each other, though, because some of those it's
This is true.
only for, like, some of it's half the year, and some of the times it's only 3 months. Sometimes they don't agree with each other. But she would have left before, sometime in summer, yeah. That would make sense, actually.
World-specific slang and colloquialisms. One, if they're easy to understand, use them. One of my favorite moments when I first started watching Farscape was the first time I heard a character say "frel," because I knew exactly what that word was. And I was still young at the time and not allowed around my parents to say the other word that was substituting for. And I got to giggle because I was not allowed to watch shows that had cussing in them. But I could watch that show because my mother heard the word "frel" and did not think of it as a bad word. And it was instantly, oh, I know what that word is. I know what you're substituting there. That's wonderful. Yes. I think that this works really, really well. The use of Chinese for the cuss words in Firefly worked really, really well. Even if you don't know the exact insults that they're throwing around at each other, when you do, that show gets even funnier. Like, it really does. You know the things that they are saying to each other, but you get the meaning there. The biggest thing with this is, one, making sure that it is distinctively slang. And the easiest way to do that is to have maybe one character call it whatever it ordinarily would be called. So it's not understood of that's just what it's called in this world, and not just a neologism, not just a new word that was created to cover a thing. And of course, you can always use the Robert Galbraith trick of have your character say say the slang word, and then immediately turn to camera and say that word means this. Because, well, she had Hagrid do that a lot. Um, Hagrid is the slang to Muggle dictionary of that of that setting. Because every time, oh, we're introducing a new slang term. Let's pull in Hagrid to explain this. Not the best one. Context clues should always be able to make it clear. But yeah, I love it. See, I'm really big into the minutia. I really love all the little things that make the world feel lived in. I like it when characters have nicknames. I'm a big fan of characters having nicknames. I don't think that they have to have nicknames, but there are some friend groups where, especially when reading a fantasy book, like the fact that Tasselhoff in the Dragonlance books has a nickname for everyone, whether they want it or not, makes sense because his character would. His character would just dole out nicknames for everybody, and he should. It makes the world make sense. So definitely when they should.
There's a map.
Ooh, that's an interesting idea that it became the Mediterranean Sea. That is very interesting. All right, I am kind of going a little bit quicker through these because I said I was going to do one sprint per hour, and we've got like 1 minute left, and this hour's over. So I'm not going to make it in this hour, but we're going to start the next hour with a sprint. So I'm trying to move through a little bit quicker. Let's see. What outline structure did you use for your first book? If you are referring to mine, I used. Do I have it over here? I did pull the book out the other day. I still have it over here. I do not appear to still have it over here. I used what was called the Marshall Plan by Evan Marshall. That's what got me through my first book. It's basically, it's less a structure than it is a really good scene card that helped me get through my story. It's a set of 2 scene cards, so you have an action and a reaction one. And his method actually tells you exactly how many you should have, depending on the length of the story that you want. That's where we disagree on things, but I created my own spreadsheet so I could do that myself using my own length for how long I think scenes should be. But it basically has all the things that you would expect in there. But the 2 that were the most important for my brain when I was having a hard time getting a coherent story out was what is the setup from the previous scene and what is the reaction in this one. So what is the question that this one leaves you with? So being able to carry those through the plot lines really, really helped. If you've ever used the Save the Cat software, they actually implemented that in there with the setups and payoffs in there, which I really enjoyed when I was using it to help keep track of all of the things that you have going on. But yeah, Evan Marshall's Marshall Plan. I would not be a published writer today if it was not for that book. I got my first published book came from using that system. I feel like I'm interloping on another conversation, but do you think you could use that one again? I still use a version of Evan Marshall's Marshall Plan when I write because it's important to me to keep me on track. Let's see, the Ella world is groomed so that there is no meteorological seasons. So seasons are marked by location. That's really cool. That is really cool. Everything shiny. Yeah. Shiny is the awesome. Alrighty. So We're only 2 minutes out of the last hour to do a sprint in, but I do like the talkies, and this stream is much more about the talkies than it is anything else. But with this being the last day of NaNoWriMo and the first day of World Ember, I thought it would be important for us to get some of the words done. Alrighty, so there is a timer up on the screen. I was going to do a 20-minute because I like 20 minutes. 15 does not seem to be in. It seems to take me about 5 minutes for my brain to go, oh yeah, I should be doing work now. So for me, the first 5 minutes is, oh yeah, that thing I'm supposed to do. And then I get a 15-minute sprint. That's why I generally default to at least 20. But we have our people up on the screen. I'm, of course, picking the ghost because if you have ghosts, you have everything. And
yeah, the wolf and the dragon totally have the same arms. They're just flipped.
oh, dude, you're right. I had not realized that. But yeah, you're that's crazy. Alrighty. There we go. That was annoying me. Put the people in the right place, StreamYard. Alrighty. So I'm gonna have to go make tea at the beginning of my sprint. So if you don't have anything to drink, maybe you should do that. Make sure you're keeping yourself hydrated. If you have been writing all day and haven't gotten up and moved around, maybe at least do a chair dance, get your blood flowing through your body. We will be back in 20 minutes, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go! It was the mummy. I was submitting my article for the category that it's submitted to. Because I don't know how many species I'm going to end up creating, but I have a feeling that the Cosmoth I'm going to be constantly revisiting and adding stuff to throughout the challenge. So it's probably going to be the one that is best written out of all of them. And yay for Carrie being at 2% of World Ember. I was surprised when I went and checked that I'm at 3.68% of my World Ember. So yay! I wrote more words than I thought I did, and a lot of it on how they reproduce. Because it's actually kind of important for like culture stuff that's going to come later, because they're kind of marsupials in a way. They're like big angry cat bear marsupial seahorses. And I need to make sure to capture all of that in words that were better than that. So I wrote a lot about it. Let's see. Maggie got 351 words. Yay. Snaps for that. CB with 109. Wait. Oh, copy and pasted. Okay, I was about to say your poor fingers. 1,935 words, but every word counts. I spent the last 7 or so minutes on a fantasy name generator looking up Scottish names. Oh, relatable. Relatable. I decided that for the Cosmoth, because they will play a very important part in the story, I will need to have 5 cultures from their home world figured out. And yeah, I spent a lot of time earlier today in Fancy Name Generator trying to find names for them, because yeah, that is very much a thing that I did. Whoa. My StreamYard just completely zoomed in.
Oh.
That was weird. There was nothing but chat on my screen. It was very strange. I guess I double tapped when I didn't mean to double tap, maybe? Okay. Let's find where I'm at now. Let's see. Does anybody know? Does anybody know the bookend outline method? Not personally. And if I do, I've not heard it called that. At all. So I'm not familiar with that. No, sorry. I am cheating so much with the story and setting, in that the reason I am working on a sci-fi story right now, and while I do want to win World Ember, I'm much more interested in getting stories written. So I'm going to be spending my time going back and forth between writing chapters and doing my World Ember stuff. So hopefully I hit my 10K, but I need to get writing again. Creativity must flow. Like the creativity must flow. And so because this all got started because of a Star Trek rant rage that happened in my head, that I think some of it leaked out and my poor husband had to listen to. I decided to actually pull out. I have the series Bibles for the original series. I actually have the original setting Bible from before Christopher Pike was the captain of the USS Enterprise, back when it was still Captain Merriweather. But I pulled out that one, the TOS setting Bible, the Next Generation Story Bible, and the Deep Space Nine one, and actually made a template in Scrivener so that my story will actually follow the 5-act structure that was used to write a Star Trek episode. So I actually have that I have that file set up now. It's actually divided up so that by the end, each chapter will be about 4,000 words, which will be a good episode length, and I'm kind of excited about it. You're confused about the outlining questions. Yeah, I don't know anything about that one in particular. I don't know. Let me look and see if that one's in Plotter real quick. Plotter just added a bunch of templates for various methods of outlining. And as you all know, I am rather obsessed with Plotter. I use it a lot. I'm actually on the wait list for Plotter Pro, so I can use it on my phone and on my laptop, and they will sync. And I can also do collab mode. I'm really excited for collab mode and want a collaborator for a collab story because I want to see how this works. But you called it the bookend method. I do not see anything in here called the bookend method. I see a lot of others in here, but I do not see anything that is called the bookend method. But there's, I think, 24 different plotting methods now in there for templates. So, and technically, if I save the one that I'm currently using, it would be more. But I'm actually I'm using Scrivener to do my Levitt's paradigm for the overarching plot of the series. Because season 1 will have 12 episodes and be about 50K when it's done.
Aww.
Let's see. I missed something. So Mr. P says, I love the fantasy name generator. You also have the baby name books. Oh, all the baby name books. I really like the fantasy name generator. My favorite website is thinkbabyname.com when it comes to
Babyberry.
That's a good one too. The thing I like about Think Baby Name is if you want a name to start with a certain set of sounds, you can just type that in and click the begins with, and it will show you every name in their database that begins like that. Or if you want it to have a certain ending, you can do that. You can search by meaning. It has a lot of things that are, at least the way I use name sites like that, very helpful. But a lot of mine have been, and I will tell you something that I did find that was really, really fun. If you go to fantasynamegenerator.com and you want some really Star Wars sounding names, use their Elizabethan name generator. Not all of them, but some of them are some of the most Star Wars sounding names I've ever heard in my life. Like, I'm surprised they're not already part of canon. Like, a couple of them I went over to Wikipedia just to see if they were in there, because they sounded so much like they should be in a Star Wars book that I had to double check. English names were wild, y'all. They've tamed down a lot. Yeah. There's also a lot of really good census sites where you can see, if you know the year somebody was born, what were the popular names in their country and in the United States, even by state, which are nice to have as well. Just saying, also booked your No Way Home tickets the other day. Yeah, I'm not going to be watching that till streaming because, again, not going to the theater. I'm just not going to the theater. It's not safe around here in so many ways. And the theater's uncomfortable and dirty, and I don't like it. So, yeah, I don't know what, if anything, will ever drag me back to another movie theater again. I didn't really enjoy going to the theater prior to the panini, and now after it, I'm very mad that there's not as much day and date options anymore. Because, I mean, we paid for the Black Widow to watch it, to unlock it early through the premium access on Disney. It was cheaper than going to the theater, and in much nicer quality with much nicer seats. And if you gotta go to the bathroom, you can pause. I can't tell you how important this is. Like, if you need to get up and do something, walk the dog, have a phone call, being able to pause. Like, you can't pause a movie theater. You just can't pause a movie theater. Like, just Wikipedia is probably one of my favorite names for a wiki for a fandom. It's fun to say, and it's a wonderful portmanteau of Wikipedia and Wookiees. So Carrie says these names are people that won't appear in the story unless you do a prequel, which you've been debating because you love your MC's grandmother so much. Prequels. They are fun to write. They really are. They are the rabbit holes that we dig for ourselves. Um, see, ever since you heard that cheaters are among the top three, wait, theaters are among the top three places to pick up bed bugs. Oh, that's an even better reason not to go. I'm adding that to the list. I did not know that. I know that our theater once got shut down because people were getting lice from the seats. Um, no, thank you. I will wait till I can watch it at home. Like, it's not that big a deal. Let's see. The one I usually go to is new. Yeah, we will never get a new theater. Like, it's not going to happen. Yeah, movie theaters, huh? Like the first two, I had heard, but I had not thought about according to your exterminators, huh? Well, that's even more reasons not to want to go to the theater around here, because if anything is crawling with, like, if they had a lice outbreak, I can totally see that happening. I can totally see that happening. Yarg? See, now you remember why you don't like theaters. They're not meant for people who have certain needs. Like, I have arthritis in my legs very, very badly, and they have in the big theater 2 seats. Yeah, two seats that do not hurt my legs, and they're usually taken up with fully functional adults who don't need them. So we have to sit in a painful seat because I need to have my legs stretched out or my knees start hurting. It's one of the reasons you see me wiggle so much and sometimes turn my camera off, as I'm trying to find a place to put my legs where the pain is less. I thought I saw you come in earlier. Hello, Key. I was actually looking for where you said hello when I was scrolling back earlier, and I could not find it. But I thought I saw you come in. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. It's been a while. You kind of use the bookend method. You know where you start and end. Oh, but the rest is just pantsed. If that's the bookend method, that seems to be how I write most of my books. With the exception of the epic fantasy series, because it is outlined from stem to stern. But yeah, that if that's what the bookend method is, then yes, that is the thing I do. So suddenly having stroke damage that doesn't tolerate flashing motion stuff. Yeah. Let's see. If you need to outline the entire thing, you use bullets rather than a more structured method. Yeah, I'm a big fan of bullets. My outlines, or these things that I refer to outlines that I have for the epic fantasy series I'm doing right now, are like outlines in like what you did in school outlines. They're a bunch of like, this happens and this happens and this happens dashed out events that cover the whole story. Let's see, been doing okay with certain definitions of okay. I can understand that. I can understand that. So, sorry about that. Needed to hydrate.
Hydration.
Uh, chemo has been kicking your butt. Thank God it's almost over. I, my heart goes out to you. There is a member of my family that. Why are you making sounds? What did the hubby do? My TV just started making sound. That was weird. Sorry about that. I wonder if he accidentally picked my speakers instead of the living room speakers for a second. Anywho, yeah, there's a certain member of my family that we're waiting to find out if that is a thing that they might have to go through. But it's starting to look like it's not. But I do not trust her doctors anymore. So, I mean, how do you lose 2 biopsies? How do you lose 2 biopsies? Two. Like the first one was okay. Flukes happen. Two. Anyway, not. See, on the plus side, Demon Gate is finally done. Just needs a little editing. So you're going back and rewriting Nexus of Change because you don't think it's good enough. Hey, that's awesome that your book's done, though. That is really cool and very, very exciting. Alrighty, so I'm going to give you all the option for what happens now. The power was within you the whole time. We have about 19-20 minutes left in this stream. We can do one last and final sprint and then say our goodbyes and adieus. Or if you have any questions or anything that you want me to go through, we can do that instead. So the power is in y'all's hands. Do you want to sprint, or do you have anything else that needs some fantasy first aid today? Because I am frankly open to either, because I'm surprised at how many words I've already gotten done and the fact that I have so far successfully prevented myself from doing artwork. Knocking on wood there. Because that's usually how my world ember falls apart, is I start doing artwork instead of writing the words. Because, all of these pages need to have cover art and other illustrations in them, right?
Right?
Like, yeah, eventually, we will get to there. Oh, and if anybody wants to read the Cosmoth species that I just wrote up, you will find a link to my world anvil down in the description box for this video. Or should, if you want to. I see Maggie voting for words, so we shall do a sprint. That is awesome. That is awesome. Alrighty, let me get the timer pulled back up. And we will do another sprinty sprint. Alright. And that one. There we go. There are our contestants in this race. I am, of course, going with the Ghosty Ghost, because when you have ghosts, you have everything. Which, by the way, for anybody who doesn't understand why I say that, one, I'm obsessed with the band, and two, there's a song that band did a cover of by that title. So you can either look up If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything by Ghost, or I can never remember the name of the original band, but it's like the original version is the most 70s song that is ever 70s in the history of the 70s. So pick your poison there. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, pick the blah, blah, blah. Alrighty. make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're saving your work. I am still very, very bad about that lately. I'm trying to get better. Trying to get better. I don't know how I got out of the habit of saving, but make sure you're saving your work. We're going to get started on this sprint in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. It was the clown. And that went really fast.
I did.
Granted, I was having to name a lot of things because it's time for me to define all of the things in the Vrasu Empire. And so, like, what is their leader called? Who is their current leader? What is the name of this? What's the name of that? Name, 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 name. So many names. So, how did everybody do? Let me know. I don't even know if it's worth looking to see if I actually got closer on my World Ember because I don't think I actually wrote that many actual words. Let's see. Let me hit the refresh and see. Nope. It did not move at the needle at all because naming everything.
Well, I just prepared a couple of graves.
I hope that game is fun. I've been wanting to play it for a while.
I'm confused, but I'm trying to figure it out.
So Megan got 240 words that time. Snaps for you. That is awesome. Let's see, started running this mess of a beginning to your novel through per writing aid. Oh yeah. First time you load that up and just watch everything light up like a Christmas tree. Try to have happy thoughts about that. I really do. Maggie got 270 words. That's awesome. Carrie's now at 9%. Wow, you're on your way. That is really cool. Because I'm so many names. I can't wait till I get past naming everything because then I have a lot of articles to write. It's just the initial setup because I need to have this empire understood because a large swath of the story is going to take place there. So if I don't have it figured out, I'm going to have to stop constantly and be like, and that is the
What again?
the thing, the thing. Nano officially ended over in Scotland 5 minutes ago. Time zones. Let's see. You will be creating your Gargoyle Shifter Queen world in December, but you have to finish your nano. I completely understand that. You have 7 hours left over here. You can do it, Maggie. You can do it. I don't know how you write as much as you write. I want to learn these tricks and have the superpower. But I have absolute faith that you will be able to do whatever you set your mind to. I would never, ever bet against you. I don't know what just fell in the kitchen, but it's not my job. I'm not the one out there right now. Let's see. I have to look at the actual challenge progress page because it isn't, because it wouldn't appear right on your articles. Yeah, I have my. So.
It is time for me to stop playing this game because it's time for me to start anything for me to stream again.
So that's the general one. I picked the wrong one.
Don't you hate that?
I even looked because they give you the little preview screen now because I have two open. Because I have the one open with all the prompts, and I have the personal stats page open. Okay, so this is my current World Ember page, which I'm curious if other people can see these. Here, I'm actually going to put a link in the chat for anybody who's interested because it has an actual web address. So maybe we can actually share those and share our progress with people because that'd be kind of cool. So that's the actual page. And when you go here, you can see I have finished one of the 23 prompts, which is awesome.
I can.
You can see the one article that is currently public, which is the one that I just finished about the Cosmoth. You can see
that it's 368 words.
Yep, and what percentage it is. Are these actually my links or are these their links? Those are my links. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is you.
And all the other stuff, which is really, really, really cool. So I'm hoping to get a lot done for World Ember this year, but again, my main focus right now is getting back into creativity and enjoying myself and killing evil capitalist business Charlie who keeps trying to ruin me so I cannot be creative. So I am my main goal is to start sharing this. Now, the plus side of that is every chapter I write in the story, as I finish writing it, I am going to edit it and then put it up over on Vela. These are just going to zoom out into the world, so you won't have to wait for them. They're all going to be there when it's all said and done. The whole 12 chapter arc will be collected into a book for anybody who does not have access to Vela. But for those who do, you will be able to read along and follow along as I'm writing it. And I'm very excited about that process and making that work because I want to do that with the fantasy book as well. But I have so much going on in my head right now. Found a tiny vampire playing with dolls. She could feel the darkness. Ah, nice. Nice.
There we go. Now I have my laptop hooked up to my keyboard and monitor again.
All right. So I'm about to. Whoa.
It's my phone. It's fine.
Are you okay?
It's my phone. It's fine.
Not part of your system. Threw it on the ground. Alrighty, for anybody who is currently looking for more productivity or things that you can do that wise, here I'm going to throw a link over to Kat's channel in the thing below. You can also go to Devin's playlist and find more links there. I will be streaming tomorrow at my regular time, 5 p.m. Eastern, over on my Twitch channel doing productivity. Depending on where my brain is, if I'm having a good brain day, which I'm going to work very hard to get to a good brain day for tomorrow, it will probably be very sprint heavy because I want to be writing. You'll know how my brain's doing by how much of this I'm doing. If I'm talking and very, very chatty, this is still a problem. Definitely check that out. We will be doing an informal hangout tonight on my Twitch server.
You mean your Discord server?
Yeah, my Discord server. Thank you. See, brain. See what I'm talking about? Brain. Brain, no brain. So if you are interested in hanging out with us, I don't know what time it's going to get started, but it won't be too late, and who knows what time it's going to go to. We went to like midnight last night over on Glory.
I'm going to try and be streaming until midnight.
But the hubby and Glory are playing Don't Starve together and having a wild old time. Depending on if she gets there in time, Chandra may join them. I will possibly be in the chat room. It will just kind of be like the Sunday hangout, but
on a Tuesday?
But well, we've actually been doing it every day of the week, just kind of lately. Not every day of the week, but Sunday we do the hangout all day. We join the after party for Glory's stream and have been doing that over there, and then have been doing one on my Discord on Tuesday nights. So yeah, it's just kind of going to be a hangout. I'm probably going to be playing a game of some sort. I am looking at Terraria, so I may be trying to figure that out, or I may be doing something else. It's just going to be light hanging out. I may also just be working.
Graveyard game. You can see what I was making faces at and guess at what points I was making faces at. I'm going to have to live stream that game. from the start, just because it's.
That is awesome. I honestly don't know what time they're starting tonight. Basically after I click end broadcast over here, I'm going to go in there and find out what the what is and probably move my stuff in there and write from in there. Continue writing in there for a while. But and who knows? I may join Kat for a while. I may just jump in over there. Who knows what's going to happen? It's chaos tonight. I just thought y'all might want to know that it is a thing that we are doing.
I am going to go live over on the Twitches, so I'm going to say goodbye to you here and possibly
Alrighty.
say hello to people over there.
So I already put the link in. So if you want to go join Kat, definitely head over there for that. Thank you so much for being here today. So today we did this. Tomorrow we're doing the sprints over on the Twitch channel. Thursday, a bit earlier in the day over here on this channel, I'm going to be doing a live recording of the podcast. And if anybody would like to actually join me on the screen for that, you are more than welcome. Just let me know so I know to send you an invite. We're going to be talking about authenticity, integrity, and honesty just in life, in your marketing, in your branding, in the things that you do, how to be yourself and not destroy yourself through a web of lies, because it is a very important topic. It is very near and dear to my heart, and we're going to be talking about that on Thursday. And then Friday, we'll be back over on Twitch doing the sprinty sprints. Alrighty. Well, thank you again so very, very much for being here. And until next time, don't forget to have the fun. Bye.